This is an educational PowerPoint to help you protect your birds against avian. First of all, avian influenza is an H5N1 virus. All birds are susceptible, and that can be any of the wild fowl birds, migratory birds, those traveling through, wild birds, wildlife. They are all susceptible, and most likely these wild fowl, waterfowl, are the ones that are carrying it around and possibly spreading it to birds in local areas. It has a very high mortality rate. Over 60 countries have reported avian influenza, and it has a 100% mortality rate within 48 hours. So this is the high path AI. This is the one that has very high mortality, and that's the one that's causing a lot of the problems in our poultry industry right now. The low path AI typically is undetected, no signs. Those birds may not show any signs whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I think some of the low path AI has been found in quite a few of the waterfowl, but not too much concern with that. But I think there is some concern that the low path AI may actually mutate into the high path AI. So it's important to keep a watch on these birds and make sure that you have limited contact with waterfowl or wild birds coming into your area. The clinical signs are variable. It all depends upon the age of the bird, the virus that is present, and the immune status of your birds. But there will be a depression, decreased feed intake, sick bird. There'll be a drop in egg production, loss of coordination. That may be the first thing that you see there, is a drop in egg production and that decreased feed intake before you start to see loss of coordination, and then discolored comb or wattles. And we have some pictures of that here in just a minute. You may see swelling of the head, eyes, once again the comb or the wattles. There may be some acute respiratory signs. That bird may have some nasal discharge. Also, diarrhea may be present. The mortality, as we talked about a while ago, may approach near 100%. And sometimes that primary clinical sign may just be you walk out and you've got dead birds. So I think that's really, really important that we're paying attention to our birds and paying attention to those clinical signs, watching them closely. And if we do see any of those clinical signs, to play safe and report that, to make sure that that avian influenza. This is what I was talking about with some of the discoloration that you may see in the legs or the comb or the wattles there. You see that purple discoloration there. You can also tell this bird's not feeling well, hunched down, not alert. Also, here's some more of that discoloration that I was talking about there. You can see some swelling around the eyes, also there in the wattles here. Also, here's that nasal discharge that I was talking about earlier. Could be clear, most likely will be clear, but it could have some discoloration to that discharge, that nasal discharge. Here's just some more pictures here of that swelling around the eyes. Also the swelling in the wattles area. Notice how purple it is. Also got that purple discoloration in the comb right here. So these are just some of the signs that you may see that tips you off just real quick that, yeah, there's a problem. We better jump on it and get it reported quick as possible. The virus is excreted from the respiratory tract, from around the eyes, and also in the feces. So that's why a sick bird needs to be reported quick as possible to try to keep your birds away from a sick bird, or if you've come in contact with a sick bird, to make sure that you properly clean, maybe change clothes, wash boots, those type things before you go around any of your birds that you know are not exhibiting any signs of this influenza. The incubation period can be from just a few hours to 14 days, so it can happen really, really fast, or it may take just a little bit before you start seeing those signs. This is what I was talking about a little while ago. Migratory fowl and wild birds are at high risk. In other words, those birds that are coming in to your place and maybe exposure of your birds to those wild birds or the waterfowl could certainly be a high risk of infecting your birds. Traffic in and out of your surroundings, either your chicken coop, chicken house area where your chickens may be, tracking in drop-ins from wild birds. Let's just say you've been to a park or out on your farm somewhere or another farm, and you've been around where other wild birds are. That's a way that you could track that in, either through vehicles, your own clothes, rats, other birds can also bring that in. So this is what we believe is a major way of this virus, this influenza, getting into the population that's not sick yet. And though, of course, that airborne aerosol transmission can either be in droplets, aerosol droplets either from the surrounding areas where feces may have gotten there, and then is aerosolized, or by the dander and feathers. That's certainly a risk as well. So making sure, paying attention to sanitation, clean as possible. So what about your birds? Keep your distance from those waterfowl, any other birds. If you've by any chance been to a chicken operation, a poultry operation, a turkey operation, clean up before you go to your birds. Keep your distance from them, and also keep the distance from those wild birds, the waterfowl. Keep it clean as possible. I've got some slides here just showing you how to properly disinfect. Don't bring that disease home with you. In other words, you've been, like I said, you've been to that area, you've been somewhere else. Make sure you clean, properly disinfect before you go around your birds. Maybe even take a shower before you go around your birds. Don't borrow disease from somewhere else. If you're going to borrow any kind of equipment, make sure that equipment's disinfected before it goes on your farm, and then disinfect it before it goes back to somebody else. Know the warning signs, just like we talked about. You see in those purple wattles, swollen eyes, respiratory signs, nasal discharge, dead birds, and then reporting those sick birds just as quick as possible. And I've got some numbers where you can report those sick birds. Make sure that your pens are bird proof to where wild birds cannot come in contact with your birds. Entrance of wildlife. Making sure that you, and I realize this is extremely tough here, but making sure that you have everything safeguarded as much as possible, where those rodents won't have as much access to your poultry areas where they could potentially be carrying. And then, of course, dogs and cats, others not allowed into the poultry area. That's another way that disease can be spread, because they can carry it on their paws and in their fur just as easily as you can on your boots and your hands and clothes. Make sure that those feed bins are secured to prevent contamination by wild birds, rodents. Clean up that spilled feed as quickly as possible, so that it will not attract any other wildlife in there. Make sure that water is coming from a secure source, and where it cannot be contaminated. Maybe changing water sources out on a regular basis to where if wild birds get in, or waterfowl gets in, that you can keep that clean as possible. And notice just that area where you can keep your feed sealed off, to where those other animals cannot get into it. This is what I was talking about here, and I realize this wouldn't be but for maybe 1 or 2 birds here, but still this is a good example of being able to keep your birds separated from wild birds. You may even need a bigger area there, but still this is a good example of being able to keep those animals closed up. Good water supply, so you're able to keep it clean. Feed supply, everything is able to stay clean, where rodents, others are not able to get into it. Wild birds are not able to get into it and spreading disease. This is just another example of where the feed is protected up off the ground, also sealed right here, just to try to prevent wild animals, wild birds from getting into it. On that equipment, foot baths, and I've got some pictures here of examples of foot baths. They can be extremely simple to build. They do not have to cost a lot of money. And also just changing those out if it's collecting excessive dirt, egg contents, or manure. Also areas where hands can be washed, hand sanitizing station, maybe keep gloves handy so that other areas are not, or your birds are not getting infected or exposed, or if you're handling those situations where you're not getting exposed yourself. Equipment and tools brought to the farm need to be thoroughly cleaned and disinfected prior to use, and I've got some recommendations here on what to clean that equipment with. I think this is really something that's a great idea right here. If you've got visitors coming on to your place, that you can make these signs right here. Just say, this is a biosecure area. I worked really hard to keep this clean as possible. I expect you to meet certain standards coming onto my farm. The way that I often put it is, you generally don't let somebody come in your house with nasty boots on. Well, don't let somebody come into your biosecure area with nasty boots on. This is something that you can put into the area where a foot wash station there, where you can put your boots into Clorox water. It's just a simple little Tupperware tub. Maybe keep a brush handy to scrub them with. Also maybe a boot scrubber that you've got here that you could clean your boots with before as you step into the disinfectant there. And to wash those boots, you can use Clorox, you can use chlorhexidine. There's several options that you've got there available to you. Also, we've got, maybe put up a hand sanitizer station there that you can sanitize hands with as you're coming and going. Here's another little area, something that you can do. I had on the previous picture there a picture of AstroTurf. That's something that you could put in the bottom of your little boot wash station just to clean boots with. But this is another possibility here. Those welcome mats that have those rough, coarse surface that you could scrub your boots in, then step over into a disinfectant here. Also, this is a great idea too. These are not very expensive and very easy to maintain, because somebody coming onto your farm could put on these disposable boots as they come onto the farm, and then as they leave the farm, they could take them off, put them in a trash can. That's some awfully simple biosecurity right there to help protect your birds. This is another disinfectant that can be used, novel sand, a chlorhexidine solution of 2%. If you go and buy this, you can find this most any feed store. I know I've seen it in co-ops, Tractor Supplies. You can order it from Valley Vet. It's readily available. It's not a veterinary only item. It will come in a 2% solution, and what you do is you mix 3 fluid ounces of Novosan to a gallon of water, and that will make you a nice little disinfecting solution for boots as somebody comes in, or you're leaving your area or your poultry area. Also, you could mix up a household bleach, a 6% solution of household bleach, You simply take 3/4 cup of bleach to 1 gallon of water. Same type thing, makes a nice little disinfecting solution. I actually prefer the novel sand just a little better. It stands up to organic material just a little bit better than the bleach does. It will last you a little bit longer, but either one of these solutions will be a fine disinfecting solution. You can also use this novel sand solution here to disinfect any equipment that might be coming into your place, wheelbarrows, pitchforks, anything of that nature. You could even disinfect automobile tires with this type thing. So these are some good ideas to prevent exposure to your birds. And maybe if you've been somewhere, you want to disinfect your boots with this solution, or even maybe just have boots that are designated for your birds only, and they stay in your poultry area. They never leave your farm. Then you go somewhere else, you wear a different pair of boots, and those never and clothes, and those never come in exposure to your birds. Something else that can be done is Lysol spray for footwear. That's another possibility, and also the Purell or any kind of hand disinfection that you can put there on your farm. I know, or around your poultry area. I know that that's something that can be easily obtained. You can find that in most any CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, that type thing. Here's what I was referring to just now with the novel sand solution. Any kind of a transport equipment, carts, crates, clean and disinfect those prior to use around your birds. Only clean, sanitized, and disinfected plastic egg cartons or brand new cartons on the farm, just to make sure you're not bringing it in through those cartons if they've been used on another farm, another poultry operation. And then just to clean and disinfect that equipment that prevent exposure to wild birds. So once again, making sure that everything is done to hold down on any sort of exposure to your birds. This is what I was referring to a while ago as far as limiting contact with others, and also having a sign there on your farm. And this is right here. Producer made this themselves. This is a livestock facility. You're coming in. They've got a box right here with the disposable boots that you can put on, and maybe even some material there that says how I want you to conduct yourselves on my farm. And then as you're leaving, there is the trash can to put the disposable boots in. So that's some awfully cheap, easy biosecurity for your operation. If you do see those sick birds, you can contact your local extension office, local veterinarian. There is a number that you can call through the USDA. Here is the number right here. And you can certainly contact these numbers. These are just all contact numbers. But what I would recommend that would be the first call would be right here. Dr. Charlie Hatcher's office, to report those birds so that they could, any kind of sick bird, so that they can get one of their veterinary officers out there to inspect those birds to make sure that your birds are not truly infected with avian influenza. And they can certainly differentiate between different diseases. So I think it's better safe than sorry. And go ahead and call this number right here, because they can certainly be out here quicker than the USDA can. There are some vaccines that are available, but if you'll notice here, the vaccines are reported that protection is less than perfect. So the vaccines are still being worked on. Not that good right now. If we're having issues with some really high path AI in certain areas, then development of more effective vaccines would be considered. But for right now, the vaccines are being worked on, and hopefully we'll have something better in the future for us. So protect yourself, because there is potential for high path AI to mutate and then infect humans. So wearing gloves, just protecting yourself, just easy stuff. No eating, drinking, or smoking in that area while you're working with your birds, collecting eggs, cleaning up after your birds, that type of thing. Keep your hands away from your face. This is certainly the way that you can easily get exposed. If you get any of these fluids on you, the nasal discharge, any of the diarrhea that the bird may have, avoid that contact with the sick or dead birds. Certainly if you do have dead birds, try to separate them from your well birds or any other birds on your area. Just try to take a pitchfork or a shovel or anything to pick up those dead birds. Certainly don't pick them up with your bare hands, or I don't even recommend picking them up with gloved hands. Try to use something, like I said, a fork or something to pick that bird up and get it to a different area. And then using proper hygiene when you're cooking any poultry whatsoever, making sure that you're being careful, proper sanitation, and cooking to the proper temperatures. This is what I was talking about right here. There is a slight danger. The World Health Organization reports that infections are generally a rare event, but can happen. The signs that you will see in humans, somewhat similar to the bird: fatigue, fever, conjunctivitis, sore throat, cough, muscle aches. So you may see, and you may even see that in the birds too, an old rough, dry cough in those birds. So that's just another set of signs that you can see. If humans are left untreated, it can progress to a pneumonia, also organ failure. And then this is the big concern right now, that there may be a genetic subtype that mutates and then converts into a pandemic version that will infect humans. It's not there now, but and that's certainly where CDC and WHO wants to keep that in that area, that wants to keep it from mutating. So that's why you need to go through all these extra measures to protect yourself. Just in summary, this avian influenza is the H5N1 virus. It has been in certain areas. Actually, it was reported in Tennessee yesterday. So that's why I think we need to be on heightened awareness here. And certainly you can contact me on any of this for any questions on how to properly protect yourself. Because this avian flu can go to human infection. Biosecurity is really, really, really important there. I can't push this one enough. I push it constantly with every talk that I give to any producer group, any veterinary students, and also any educational opportunity that I have. Just pushing biosecurity. You can never be too careful. Cleaning that equipment and protecting yourself are certainly ways that we can hold down on any of this infection and keep our animals clean. If you have any questions on this, by all means, do not hesitate to contact me. This is my email address. This is my office number here. You can certainly give me a call with any questions, and also remember the numbers that I gave you earlier for Dr. Charlie Hatcher's office if you have any concerns over sick birds. And so we can get those examined and reported just as quick as possible. Thank you.